Welcome, everyone. I'm going to be doing a new series called Mystery Charts, where I'm going to be taking a famous person's chart and breaking it down and doing a thorough analysis. And hopefully, by the end of it, you'll be able to tell who I'm talking about without even telling you who it is. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work, but we're going to give it a try. When I present the next video, obviously, I'll tell you who the last video was about. But let's see if you guys can guess in the comment section who I'm talking about. I think this will be a fun exercise to try to hone your astrological skills. I did recently publish a book. You can find it on Kindle. It's a great primer on Vedic astrology. It's called The Cosmic Compass, and it's kind of oriented towards self-help. So if you think there's something within your own chart that needs fixing, you'll find this book particularly useful. So go ahead and pick that up. But let me go ahead and start with this chart here. So this chart is a male, and obviously the first thing you want to look at is the ascendant, Cancer, and the next thing you want to look at is the moon, right? There's the first two things you want to look at, the ascendant and the moon. Now, in this case, the moon is the lord of the ascendant, so that makes it easy, right? So when the fourth sign, when you have the lord of the ascendant going into the fourth house, that's always a good thing. Moon likes to be in the fourth house, gives a lot of popularity, likely to have luck with conveyances, vehicles, that kind of thing. The moon is not alone, though. She is with Mars. So Mars next to the moon, and they're about 20 degrees apart. But it's not a tight conjunction. Whoops, sorry. But it is still a conjunction nonetheless. So in Hindu astrology, when two planets are in the same sign, it's a conjunction. So the person will be hot-headed, a little bit temperamental. They will be just very prototypically male, right? Very assertive, aggressive, can sometimes have problems with anger. But notice though that Mars here is Yoga Karaka, right? So Mars rules the fourth and ninth house for a Cancer ascendant. So that's very lucky. So this brings a lot of luck and success into the chart, particularly because the Lord of the Ascendant is with this Yoga Karaka Mars. And look who's aspecting Jupiter in the 10th house. Jupiter in the 10th house, lording the ninth house. So it's a ninth house of good luck. It's a ninth lord of good luck, and it's also Jupiter. So this is a spectacular axis, the fourth, 10th axis. This person will be famous, will have large houses, nice fancy cars, will be popular, and will have a stellar career. Particularly because Jupiter brings in all of this beautiful ninth house energy. We have three planets in the ninth house. We have Venus exalted, which makes a person very attractive to women. They'll be very lucky with women. Sun in the ninth house gives a lot of leadership qualities. Mercury is a blemish. Mercury is debilitated near its maximum degree of debility, so that's not good. And Saturn aspects too, by the way, so that's not so good. But again, Mercury doesn't rule very important houses, the 12th and 3rd, so it's not that significant. But all this ninth house energy gets pulled into the 10th house through this thing called dispositorship. Jupiter disposes of these planets. So it makes the chart just a powerful career and a lot of notoriety, for sure. What else can we say about this chart? Well, Saturn is placed in the 3rd house, and Saturn rules bad houses. Saturn is an evil planet for a Cancer ascendant, and it is in the 3rd house, but malefics, they do well in the 3rd house. So this person will have a lot of vital energy, a lot of passion, and a tendency to try to dominate others. And because of that, because it rules bad houses, they may have some problems with peers and siblings a little bit, may get into too many fights and stuff, but they will have great martial prowess and great ability to fight. Again, Mars and Moon by themselves can make a person a soldier, an athlete, a boxer, something like that, right? What else can we say about this chart? Well, we see that Rahu's in the 8th house. Now, even though there's a lot of success practically dripping off this chart, still, Rahu in the 8th house can give you some problems because Rahu is the deity of the materialistic age in which we currently live. So that means that even if the person attains dizzying success, then it may be short-lived because what happens is when Rahu is in the 8th or 12th or the 6th, but particularly the 8th, the public mind tends to turn against them. Their popularity doesn't last that long. People see something weird or unusual about the person and not in a good way. You know what I'm saying? So it's a slight blemish, to be honest. I mean, the rest of the chart's very strong, but anyhow, but that's the natal chart in a nutshell, right? Ketu in the 2nd house is excellent because Ketu indicates where we're strong in past lives. It's in the 2nd house of wealth, so the person does have an ability to attract wealth. It's also aspected by Jupiter too. So yeah, the person has a really great natal chart. I mean, very successful. Now, we also have to consider the Navamsha chart. Now, the Navamsha chart is more the chart of your deeper thoughts and beliefs. It's sort of who you are on the more spiritual level. The Navamsha chart also sometimes indicates the future, as the future does, who we are at our deeper level, and so we end up manifesting the future that way, right? So a lot of people also consider the Navamsha chart to be a marriage chart. There's this belief that you're going to attract this kind of a person into your life, right? Um, but I just look at the Navamsha chart as more or less kind of a chart of the future and a chart of the deeper aspects of the person, right? So first of all, let's look at Mars and Ketu here. If the ascendant is Pisces and Navamsha, we'll notice that Mars and Ketu are in the third house. Now, Mars and Ketu are both very martial planets. So when they're together in the third house of martial prowess, oh, you can bet this person's going to be a boxer, martial artist, something like that, right? The next thing we notice is Venus is debilitated in the seventh house. Ooh, remember the natal chart, Venus was very strong, exalted, but it's debilitated in the seventh house of Navamsha, which means as time goes on, that shine is going to fortunately wear off a little bit. So they may end up becoming very unpopular with women. There may be allegations of sexual assault, sexual battery, sexual harassment, that kind of stuff. Venus debilitating the seventh house means they may have a divorce or two to look forward to in their future. So it's not the best. Also, Saturn in the fourth house. Let's go back to the natal chart. We see Mars and Moon in the fourth house. Very powerful fourth house, very popular. But look at the Navamsha chart. Saturn in the fourth house, aspecting Mercury, and which is also the fourth lord in this Navamsha chart, which means, ooh, no, that means their popularity drops. So we see a lot of reversal going on here. They start out very popular, successful, sex object, that kind of thing, and then they become unattractive, unpopular, not well liked. And this is also true because of the moon. Moon is very well placed in the natal chart. It's in the eighth house in Navamsha, meaning that they're probably a very deep soul, mystical, spiritual, or maybe just overly sexual. The eighth house can mean a lot of things. But it usually means you fall out of favor with the public to a certain extent too. But you do have Mercury in the 10th, so the career is still going on. Jupiter will aspect Mercury in the 10th, so Jupiter aspects its own sign with Mercury in the 10th, so the person will still have, a pretty good career, just nothing like what the natal chart shows. So as time drags on, yeah, they're probably going to lose some of that sheen that they had earlier on, right? Now, notice the sun is in the ascendant Navamsha, so they have fantastic leadership capabilities. They will always be a leader. They'll probably be a leader all the way till their dying days. It's just natural to who they are. Again, they're a strong fighter. One thing also I want to mention is this thing of Vargotama. When planets are in the same signs in both the natal chart and the Navamsha chart, it's called Vargotama, and they gain in strength tremendously, which means Jupiter will pull in a lot of wealth into the second house. So Jupiter and Moon are the same in both Rasi and Navamsha, but also look at the Samsha chart, the chart of career. Also, you have this Jupiter and Moon. Look at the Saptamsha chart, Jupiter and Moon. There's a lot of confluence here where there's a lot of Vargotama going on, which means these are very powerful. This is what indicates a famous person, in my view, when you have all of this confluence of factors. I'm not going to dig into these other charts. I think it's just too much to go into right now. What I can tell you is that this person will start out with a very powerful career, but they're not always underneath the surface. They're not as nice to the opposite sex as they pretend to be, and they're going to be they're going to get in problems with women for sure, and there's going to be problems with the general public as well, and their popularity is going to start to wane. So this is a person who their life's going to take a different turn at a certain point, right? But still, overall, you have to admit it's excellent. There's another way of determining the strength of planets that has there's different measuring systems in Vedic astrology. This goes beyond the basics, okay? But it's important to look to just for confirmation, right? Just for extra information to look at. We notice that the Shadbala, which is the main the main prognosticator of strength, is Shadbala, and Shad means six, Bala means strength. See, these are the six strengths. You can Google it. Actually, there's all sorts of information, but it has to do with where the sun and moon are placed when you're born, relationship of planets, stuff like that. So the sun is at 162. So again, this person will definitely be a leader, definitely be likely to be a performing artist of some way. Um, Jupiter is very strong at 143, so again, their career will be very substantial. But notice Mercury, 87, ooh, pretty low. Pretty low on Vimshapaka too, and also really low in Ishtaphala. So in addition to being debilitated, you have all these other things to consider. So the Mercury cycle is not likely to be too good for them. Let's go into the dashas now. They were born inside of a Mars cycle. Then came Rahu. So in their childhood, they went through the Rahu phase, which is in the eighth house, which means not likely to be a good time for them, right? They had all sorts of problems with emphysema and bronchitis and asthma and health problems, and not much was going on for them until 1972 when they hit their Jupiter cycle, and then all of their health problems cleared up. Their career really took off. They became incredibly successful. After that came the Saturn cycle. And Saturn's in the third house of performing arts. They did extremely well during that cycle. Then we got to Mercury in 2007, and that's when things changed. So from 2007 to 2024, that's been a really rough time for them, just because Mercury's not that strong in the chart. So they're still doing okay, but not nearly as good as they did before. Okay, I know that's kind of vague. I touched on a lot of things in both the natal chart and the Navamsha chart. I'm not sure who you're going to be. Okay, let me see if I can give you some more hints. Well, Mars and Moon together, definitely, like I said, a fighter, soldier, martial artist, something like that. We know he loves to perform. Sun in the ascendant Navamsha, Sun in the ninth house. So, yeah, that's as much information as I'm going to give you guys. Let me know in the comment section if you can guess who this is, and I will be telling you the next video. Do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button, and feel free to pick up that book on Kindle, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.